What's that? Huh. Radio. What's going on with that radio? This is not a dream. What's happening to this place?
Welcome to Now Playing Podcast's Silent Hill Retrospective Series.
Silent Hill!
Part of Now Playing's video game movie review series.
When you're hurt and scared for so long, your fear and pain turn to hate, and the hate starts to change the world.
Hosted by Arnie.
He was sent to take you back to Silent Hill. He was a member of the Order.
Justin.
Listen, you may be able to hear the cries of his torment.
And Stuart.
Who are you to judge? We judge because the souls of history hang in the balance, because our faith has never failed us.
This podcast may contain detailed plot spoilers and harsh language.
Go to hell!
Can't you see? We're already here.
Listener discretion is advised.
I will pray for you, Rose, but I won't expect you and your friend to return.
Today, we return to Silent Hill, starring Jeremy Irvine and Emily Anderson, directed, for some reason, by Christophe Gans. Here I am, the man of the house, Arnie.
And Stuart.
And this is Justin.
So we are back at the Silent Hill franchise. I went back, I rewatched the first two movies, I re-listened to our first two podcasts. I don't think it's a surprise that Silent Hill would return to the big screen. I do think it's a surprise that when it came back, it was with a whimper, not a bang, and that Christophe Gans, director of that original 2006 Silent Hill, would be the one to helm it. Like, they'd look at that and go, yeah, give us more of that.
Well, he's grown, he's changed. He says he has different sensibilities now. So why not take another bite at this apple and maybe put on screen what he originally intended back then?
It was a hit. You guys didn't recommend it. And you know what? I recommended it and probably shouldn't. But that first movie did find an audience, mostly internationally. It made money. But it was really expensive. And I think that, yes, what we keep seeing are diminishing returns and how much they're going to invest in the Silent Hill sequels. That second one didn't have Gans, and it had 20 million slashed from the budget. This one, yeah, I'm guessing 20 million slashed from the sequel budget, but it's got Gans back. The first film, when I rewatched it, I hadn't listened to our podcast, and watching it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this film? I can't follow this film. I restarted it and rewound time and again. It just reminded me of your story of watching Face Off, Stuart, was me trying to watch Silent Hill again. And then I stopped and listened to our podcast, and it made sense. It told me what I was watching. But even back then, it reminded me I couldn't figure out what I was watching then. So it is an incoherent mess of a film that when you recommended it at the end, I slapped my forehead like, how? This movie is incomprehensible. And then we all piled onto that dog shit sequel. But in the 20 years since the first Silent Hill film, it has become an American cult classic. Shout Factory has given it a prestige Blu-ray release with all new bonus features. People, I think nostalgia's a hell of a drug, that they think this is a good movie. Well, again, it was good atmosphere. We all liked the way that this director, you have to at least give him this, he was a fan of the game, and he put a lot into the mood and the vibe. And I just think vibes count for a lot these days. Did it make sense? Does it have to? I think there's a lot of horror films specifically that are better for not making sense. And, you know, you probably get to Silent Hill by driving along Mulholland Drive. This is the legacy of David Lynch. And I do think that incomprehensibility is a part of the fear.
Yeah, but I think the problem might be is, once again, we have to remember we're in the arcade, right? So it's not like they're just telling a horror story and it's like, yeah, some of this is incomprehensible stuff is going to be intriguing to people. A lot of times it's going to come with baggage of, hey, this is a complete departure from what they did in the game that I love. So why is this being done this way?
Yeah, I never give much credence to that. You know what? When you're adapting something, be free with it. If you change Stephen King's book and make it Stanley Kubrick Shining, good for you. That's great. I do not like fundamentalism. I do not like we have to do it exactly as it was in the game.
I do not disagree with what you were saying about source material. I'm just pointing out that that's where we are. We're in the arcade, and that's the type of audience that typically goes to these movies.
And very important, this game is doing something, Arnie, that you said you really wanted Silent Hill to do. And that is to adapt the game, the one that people love the most, Silent Hill 2.
And this is so strange to me because re-listening to our review, I apparently marathon speed ran the original PlayStation Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 and some of Silent Hill 3 before our reviews back then, but I couldn't remember them at all. I'm like, I played those games, and when this movie was announced, it was announced as like the return of Silent Hill, the franchise. They announced that Christophe Gans was coming back to make a new Silent Hill movie, but in the same press conference, they announced they were remaking Silent Hill 2 for modern consoles.
So I'm not a gamer, so I really never understand, but it seems like a lot of games do get remade these days. Is that just a graphical overhaul, or do they make new portions? Is that, you're telling me it's a totally, or at least a partially different game if you were to play it now versus 2001?
That's why I really kind of emphasize the word remake, because a lot of games get graphical updates. Like, I love the PS4 game Spider-Man, and they released it for the PS5. It's the exact same game, but it's got more pixels and polygons in it, right? But with Silent Hill, the remake, they took the core of the game and just started from scratch. They hired a new voice cast. They've added new puzzles and removed old puzzles. I decided, since I couldn't remember my experience and I didn't feel like hooking up old systems or busting out an emulator and playing old graphics, I would play this Silent Hill 2 remake and get through it the way I did the other one and remind myself of it. Well, I played this game for like 8 hours. It is harder. It is longer. There's a lot more to it. It is the same story. I watched a YouTube video that started to outline the differences in dialogue, the differences in levels. But basically, they took the story and a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the levels from the first one, but really modernized it. It is a true remake, not a graphical update. And I couldn't get through it. It was too hard. I was playing a lot of time. And then I went online. I'm like, let me just see where the story goes. I looked at YouTube. The original Silent Hill 2, if you want to watch a full playthrough, was 4.5 hours. This game, for people who speedrun it, is 12.5 hours. So they have tripled the areas, the cutscenes, the puzzles. It's a lengthy but great game. And if it wasn't that we had a deadline for this review, I would have kept playing it. It is a really, really good game experience that has modern camera controls, not those shitty camera is stuck in a corner camera controls like you had on PlayStation 1 and 2 games. It's well acted, it's mysterious, it's atmospheric.
This is kind of like the opposite of how I usually feel about games. I usually get really pissed off and ticked off at all these cutscenes and stuff like that. I just want to get back to the gameplay. But Silent Hill 2, it's one where I'm more interested in the cutscenes than actually solving the puzzles and stuff. So this one kind of slides off to the side of my radar when it comes to how I usually interact with games like this.
And I'm guessing fans of the original game like it when they remake games they like. Unlike when, say, oh, here comes Psycho again, and grrr, I'm going to be so mad that they brought it back. This sounds like they're giving more of what people liked, and so this would be welcomed with open arms.
I'd say it's risky. I say a lot of game remakes, people say it lacks the charm of the original. Sometimes they like the technological limitations in the old games. They have nostalgia. but this remake has been such a great seller and so widely embraced, they're going back and now making a remake of the first Silent Hill in the same vein. And it's also worth saying that the Silent Hill movies we watched were ostensibly based on Silent Hill 1, but they had a lot more in common with Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2 brought the iconography. Silent Hill 2 gave us Pyramid Head and crazy-ass nurses and all of these things that make great marketing and have been put in future Silent Hill movies even though they don't make sense story-wise, because they made such an impact from Silent Hill 2. And back at the time, Christophe Gans said, we want to make Silent Hill 2 as the first movie, but realized we have to introduce some things about this town. No, you don't. But he said that. And so what he made was a wild mixture of Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2, and now he's getting to make 2 proper.
Yeah, to circle back to my point, the reason why you might want him back 20 years later, you might think, yeah, pass the baton, let somebody else do it. This is a guy that had a lot of passion for that game, and he knows the story he wants to tell. They wouldn't let him do it the last 2 times. And now, finally, we're going to get a straight-out adaptation. And something that struck me, I did go back, I watched both movies again, I listened to our shows again. Something, Arnie, that you said that really stuck with me, and I listened to, was that Silent Hill 2, the game, was so good, you could just make a movie out of the cutscenes. So I did go to YouTube and watch. I would fast forward. When it looked like there was a cutscene, I would stop. But yeah, I got through the 4.5 hour version and watched all the different endings you could have to kind of be prepared for what this story was, just as a reference, because I knew it was going to follow the story of this love affair that became doomed in Silent Hill.
There was, I saw on YouTube, a 2.5 hour cut of the remake. They call it Silent Hill 2 Remake the movie, and it's just the cutscenes. So you wouldn't have had to fast forward, and you could have seen the remake with the extra cutscenes. And notice, again, people can beat Silent Hill 2, the early version, in 4.5 hours, and the cutscenes from this remake are already 2.5 hours, so there's a lot of it. And I'm watching this movie, and the first part of this movie is so slavishly like the game that I'm geeking out because I played enough of the game to be like, oh my god, he's at the guardrail. Oh my god, he's at the graveyard. But then he gets to the apartment building and I'm like, wait, you mean he didn't have to find 2 halves of a broken record, then find the super glue, then go to the jukebox, put the record in the jukebox, hear the song, get the key, then find the stones and put the stones in the hole and get the other key before he could go to the apartment building?
I think what I'm hearing from that joke of yours, but it is a legitimate question. I'm wondering, this might be the first movie in the arcade where we're really going to ask this. Can you make a movie out of cutscenes? Because I think what we're here to watch feels like someone that studied the game and wanted to just remove those scenes and put them in a movie. And is there enough interstitial material between those cutscenes when you cut the game out to feel like a movie?
I would think that from the first third of this movie, and a lot of it is, but then Gans and his co-writers Sandra Voanth and Will Schneider decided we must have a protagonist who is completely, unimpeachably good. And so we will remove all of the things, because in Silent Hill 2, at the end, with most of the endings, you find out all the characters are damned and tortured and deserve to be. None of them deserve a happy ending, unless, if you saw all the endings, did you see the Shiba Inu ending, where it was all actually being controlled by a dog? That was only added in, like, the director's cut version, but I love that ending, where it's just a crazy dog has been fucking with you the whole time. Or the UFO ending.
Yeah, no, I obviously you don't go in some of these narrative directions, but again, it's just a valid question. Can you do it? This is a movie that seems intent. I hear, yes, they're going to change the character to be more benevolent, but my point is, they're going to show you cutscenes and call it a movie, and is that a movie is a really fascinating question to ask. And it kind of gets us into this plot. So Arnie, why don't you go ahead and tell us what happens in Return to Silent Hill?
Jeremy Irvine plays James Sunderland, a painter on a trip in his Mustang. But when he isn't paying attention to the road, he almost gets in an accident, nearly hitting pedestrian Mary Crane, played by Hannah Emily Anderson. She's okay, but misses her bus out of town. James drives Mary back into her hometown of Silent Hill, and the two start a romance. We then jump forward in time, and James is drunk and depressed, obsessed with Mary. James finds a note from Mary saying she needs him and for him to go back to their special place. So James returns to Silent Hill, the town where he lived with Mary during their relationship. But he finds the town nearly deserted. An illness and a flood ravaged the town. All that are left seem to be suicidal Angela, also played by Hannah Emily Anderson, unstable Eddie, and a young girl named Laura who claims to know Mary, played by Evie Templeton, reprising her role from the Silent Hill 2 remake. But also in town are monsters, including the armless, acid-spitting creatures, Pyramid Head, and gross moth-like bugs. James then meets a blonde named Maria, who's also played by Hannah Emily Anderson. Maria tries to get James to leave town with her, but James is obsessed with finding Mary, who he believes to be at the local hospital. As James travels through the town, he has flashbacks that inform him and us of his background. It starts off with romantic scenes with Mary, but something is up with the townies of Silent Hill. Mary's father, Joshua Crane, founded the town and became a cult leader. When he died, the cult turned their focus on Mary. The townies aren't pleased about Mary having an outsider come to live with her. Then one day, James sees Mary on the street. He follows her into the sewers where he sees a cult ritual where they drug Mary and cut her and smear her blood on them. James gets drunk and demands Mary leave town with him immediately, but Mary says she won't go with him while he's like that. Like what? Scared. So he leaves Silent Hill without her. After having these memories, James wakes up a patient of the hospital in the psychiatric ward. The unnamed doctor is trying to get him to accept that Mary has been dead for months, but he continues to disassociate. His mind, or spirits, or alternate dimensions, takes him back to the deserted hell of Silent Hill, where Maria again tries to stop him from getting to Mary, but James says she's an obstacle in his way, and so Pyramid Head, who is also James, kills Maria. James has his final flashback. After breaking up with Maria, he gets called back to Silent Hill. Maria is dying from the drugs given to her by her father and the cult. She begs James to end her life, so he smothers her to death with a monogrammed towel. Then, back in Silent Hill, James goes to the roof of the apartment building and finds Mary there, in her deathbed, turning into a giant moth. She says she forgives him. James then is back by his Mustang on the ground with Mary's body. He puts the body in the car and drives into the lake, committing suicide to be with her. Then James is suddenly back in his Mustang. This movie is whiplash-inducing. Narrowly avoiding that accident. He remembers everything, but he's traveled back in time, not in a DeLorean, but in a Mustang, and is meeting Mary again for the first time. This time, instead of driving her back to Silent Hill, he drives her away from that damned town as credits roll.
Yeah, you hit the reset button.
Yeah. Okay, so the word is psychodrama. Whenever you're watching a movie where the whole thing is taking place in somebody's head and it's various sets of dream states in which you're not sure what their waking reality is versus their own fears, and the people that they're meeting are representative of their different aspects of themselves. Yeah, it's a popular form. It started really in theater and it was popularized in film by a Swedish filmmaker known as Ingmar Bergman. He made a lot of movies like that. He's kind of the godfather of elevated horror. And I knew probably almost instantly when we had this meet cute at this lookout and then like she smiles and suddenly she's dead in the water. I'm like, okay, so maybe all of this is a dream. This is one of those movies where you could say everything is purgatory and we're just reflecting on a damaged psyche, this bad driver, James Sunderland.
When you talk about this kind of purgatory horror, though, where my mind goes is the first time I experienced it, which was Jacob's Ladder, that Tim Robbins 1990 movie. I feel like that's very influential and often referenced when you're dealing with this kind of story of
Is the person dying? Is the person alive? Is the person dreaming? You're jumping between hellish nightmares and happy realities and what's really going on. Not to spoil Jacob's Ladder, but come on, guys. It's been 35 years.
He's dead. Yes. No, again, the currents on Owl Creek Bridge, every third Twilight Zone episode is this plot. Yes, we're just going to wait for the twist. Or maybe the twist will never come. But when we start a movie with some asshole whipping around mountain curves at high velocity with the top down, smoking a joint, listening to heavy metal screaming, lose control, and a semi comes at him, yeah, maybe the rest of the movie is a dream. Maybe he's dead.
I saw that semi-truck. It's a log truck. I'm like, is this a Final Destination 2 reference? A nod? I think it has to be. When you think of log trucks, you only think of Final Destination 2. But Silent Hill in the games is a town in Maine. Maine does lumbering. Plus, Twin Peaks, you know, whenever we deal with this kind of surreal otherworldliness, Twin Peaks is another big influencer, and that had a big wood mill.
I don't think this is a Final Destination 2 reference because I don't think Christophe Gans is a horror guy. I think watching this movie, for better or worse, I'm not going to call it good art, but I really believe that he thinks he has an opportunity to make an art film. And so he's really trying to be Bergman and not make just a horror movie sequel. And I could feel that in my audience. Full confession, I had to see this movie twice. The first time I fell asleep in the middle of it. Is it because I had a hard day and I was tired? Or is it because this movie is just lulling me into this sleep? And the second time I watched it in a crowded, it was a small theater, but it was one of those where they had the recliners and all. And it was like a symphony of snores. I do think that this movie is going to be a challenge if you came here for blood and guts.
I saw this once only. I went opening night. It was a challenge because this movie, much like when we reviewed the new Silent Night, Deadly Night, it didn't get theater screens until a couple days before release. We were texting amongst ourselves, Stuart, would it even come to Springfield? Would we be able to review it this weekend? I went to a Flick's Brewhouse. I'm boycotting Alamo because of their phone policy they're implementing. Flick's Brewhouse is like an Alamo. I thought it might be a private showing. At the very last minute, 5 other people shambled in. One did fall asleep. They brought blankets. I don't think they planned to stay awake when they walked in. And then those same 2 people, when they walked out, were cackling at how bad this movie was, in their opinion. As I sat there sitting through the credits to see if there was an end stinger, there is not. And so my small audience was not very receptive to this film.
But again, I appreciate that. These are people with heavy metal t-shirts, and I think they thought they were here for one kind of film, and then it was just, they couldn't go with where this movie starts. Instantly, you can tell, again, this guy driving into the semi, and then it's a meet cute. He's suddenly swerved into this parking lot, a park overlooking the town, and this woman is there, Mary. Is that Virgin Mary? Is this religious? Is he being saved? I mean, I think this is what the movie's asking of us. And yes, Jacob's Ladder. I remember, Arnie, you and I went and saw that as teenagers, and we weren't ready for that kind of film either. We were pissed that it wasn't a slasher film.
And I remember the marijuana haze as we walked into that theater.
They were playing sitar music. Somebody knew what kind of movie it was, and we didn't.
And yeah, Marion Crane, Psycho. That's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And I had a problem right away in this movie, and it lasts throughout the whole movie. I want to see if either of you guys had this, but I couldn't stop thinking it. When they are having their little conversation and they're talking over the lake looking at Silent Hill, I'm like, are they shooting this in front of a volume screen like The Mandalorian? Not that the background didn't look real, the people didn't look real.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then the more I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't know this lead actor. Is he human? Is he AI?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of that AI actress, Tilly Norwood, that they're trying to sell. I'm like, is this all CG? Is this full motion capture? I'm obsessed with this the whole fucking movie. His lips never have moisture. His eyes never reflect right.
His haircut never moves. Yeah, I was very much watching the strands of hair on his head, and they stay in place like a video game character.
Yeah, knowing that this is a Silent Hill movie and eventually we're going to need to move into the ashen, foggy area of Silent Hill, these opening scenes where we're just in the regular world and it's sunny out, it is uncanny. Like, it is so hard not to notice. It feels, like you said, Arnie, like we're on a volume or a fake set, yet like the trees and the vistas look real, but the people standing there do not. It's very unsettling, and part of me is wondering, okay, are we doing this on purpose? Are we supposed to be feeling like this is daydreamy and kind of out of focus? Or is this just incompetent filmmaking on the cheap?
I believe Gans would have liked to have had more money, and if he had so, would have probably made this a different way. But realizing his return to Silent Hill meant getting scraps, I think he tried to take a negative and make it a positive. I think he realized he didn't have the money to make the movie like he did 20 years before, with, real crane shots and on location, building sets and all of that. And so he tried to have this, there are times, particularly when people look into mirrors, when they become the video game characters. There's the uncanny valley that you feel watching Polar Express. I do think that that's intentional, and I think he hopes that you like it. But sometimes I like it, and sometimes I think, God, this movie looks too cheap to be projected in a movie theater.
Oh, yeah. The backgrounds I'm going to get to. But at this point, when they're in the real world, it looks okay, the backgrounds. But I do notice that his psychiatrist, who we'll talk about in a little bit, didn't look this way. So I'm wondering if he did some kind of CG filter over our main character to make him look more video gamey, because he doesn't blink right. Everything about him just felt, uncanny valley that I couldn't get out of.
It's intentional.
It's awful to me. It was so distracting that he just never looked human. I couldn't decide, was it bad green screening? But he was shooting this in Serbia. And I sat through the credits. There were crane operators. There are real crane shots here.
I know there are. Look, he didn't have what he had before. He had to do something visually different to make up for the lack of money. And this was the trick. This is what I'm doing. And it's certainly striking. I will say that. It is an artistic dare. It gets back to the point I was asking initially. It looks like a cutscene from a video game. Are we cool watching this as a movie?
And the reason he only had $23 million on this is Sony gave up the rights to this. At first, I thought maybe they're doing this as a rights grab. But no, Sony made the first two, said, screw it. This is coming at us from the people who made Terrifier, bloody, disgusting studios, who gave us the new Toxic Avenger, who gave us the new Silent Night, Deadly Night. The producer of this is the producer who did make the early Silent Hill and Resident Evil games, but also the Crow reboot, that newest Hellboy film, Rambo Last Blood, shit.
You mentioned a few of them, but the first 5 minutes of this movie is literally production house logos and financing bros. I mean, it's got so many hands in on it.
Never in my life have I seen opening titles where you're production company, and then financed by, and then some German companies and some Serbian companies. I've never seen the financiers get before the stars, before the director, before the title of the movie. The financiers get the credit.
Yeah, and there's not much credit to them because they don't have enough financing.
But I did recognize the Davis Films logo. That was in the original movie, so there's some continuity here with the creative team. So you can expect that if the original director is back and we have some of the original production here, there should be some continuity here. But I'm starting to realize real quick, this is not even set in the same universe as the original Silent Hill that we started with.
No, and neither is Silent Hill the game.
Yeah, Silent Hill, what they established in number 2 is that it is a town, but a town where everybody sees reflections of themselves. So while it is a town in Maine, everyone who goes there experiences either a shared vision or their own purgatory by going there.
They are standing here on this blue screen lake looking out and saying, "Aren't you cute? Ha 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 ha." Yeah, it's terrible. Maybe this feels like a video game from 2001 with dopey robotic automaton performances. Certainly when this meet cute gets going, there is no chemistry between the two, and I can't decide whether that's brilliant, like a brilliant evocation, or like, oh, this is going to be so hard to get into this movie. It's both. It's an impairment as a moviegoer, and it's a funny joke about video games. So you could make the argument that he is really tapped into something in this moment. What I can't get over is that, like, her clothes dump out and this bus, presumably people get out, they have a smoke, you wait for 15 minutes or so. This bus ain't got no time. Get in this bus, jump in as we slow down and not even stop. And we'll take you to the next town.
This isn't a bus stop so much as it's a bus slow roll by.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm an asshole. I made you miss the bus." I'm like, you would have never caught that bus. You had to be an Olympic sprinter to catch that bus.
Well, she did stand in front of the bus, which is not a good tactic, by the way, but she misses the bus, and my instant thought is, you cause a woman to miss her bus, she's just going to the city, which can't be that far away, and this guy, James, is just on a day trip. He opens the trunk of the Mustang. He has nothing in this trunk, just enough room for her luggage. Just drive her to the city. He was going on an aimless day trip to paint some shit. He has an easel in the back of his car. Just take her to the city.
But that's the point. He is an artist with nothing on his canvas. I'm looking for inspiration. This is all could be metaphor of an artist searching for muse, right? And so now, finally, muse has entered my life, and I'm going to paint it. And we will see that his work only becomes her. The only thing that he paints is her in various emotional states, in close-up, sometimes with churches in the background or what have you. But this is not just a couple falling in love, but an artist finding purpose.
Yes, he takes her into Silent Hill, and we have the first of many smash cuts, as this is all a dream he's having while drunk in a bar. He's an alcoholic, he's getting kicked out, accidentally bumps into the waitress, bouncer gets involved, and then they do a weird first-person camera, which again feels very video gamey, like first-person shootery, as we get him looking at his own phone. It's ringing. M is on the phone. Is it Mary calling him? And we first person as he's thrown out. It might be cool, but they never do this trick again. So it's just jarring that we have a first person shot.
They do. They do right at the end. Yes. We establish that we're seeing life through his eyes. We're to take this as reality. And I think that's also the lake at the end. We see through his eyes when he goes into Toluca Lake.
Oh, that's right. When we see that fake looking reflection in the rear view.
Well, to bolster Stuart's point that we might be seeing some metaphorical type of stuff going on here and purposeful filmmaking, the first time we see M, we learn it's probably his therapist. It's not stated outright right away, but the first few times we see her talking to him, it's like we're looking through like a crystal ashtray under her desk at her, and she's all like fractalized. We don't get a good look at her face, and it feels like it's teasing out something that really never comes to fruition.
Yes, she's not in his conscience. It was funny. I went online, just to get credits and stuff like that. Some people have identified her as his AA sponsor, but I think later she talks about treating him for a year. To me, that feels like psychiatrist or therapist. She's a mental health professional. And yeah, she's not real. She has her own way of coming into his life through this voice on the phone, detached, wanting him to go home, wanting him to get sober, wanting him to get over it. And there's this pressure to get over Mary, basically. We had a quick flash while he was there in the bar of Mary submerged in water with dead eyes. And so I think we realized pretty quickly when he's getting a letter from Mary, that couldn't be because she's dead.
Right. I think this movie tries to play coy with that. I think when the therapist says at the 1 hour point, "James, she's dead. She's been dead for months," that's supposed to shock you. But even if I hadn't played the game, I think I'm pretty sure by this point she's dead anyway, and that whoever slid him this note is a ghost or a phantom or an imagining.
I'm not even convinced he's not dead and the semi didn't kill him, and that's where this will all end.
Everything's on the table right now, and if it's supposed to be a mystery or a twist that shocks us at the end, I feel like those cards have already been flipped over on the table. It's just a matter of what order we're going to find them.
And when he gets to the city, and even before the city, it is right out of the video game. First of all, he goes to the world's ugliest men's room. I do not know. I wouldn't even want to piss in that men's room. But then he goes to the railing and there's the map. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly the remake of the game. And, this monologue, though, as he's walking down the path, I can accept deadline readings in a video game a lot more than I can accept deadline readings in a movie, because in a video game, I'm playing. In a video game, I'm moving and I'm actively engaged. When I am more actively engaged, but not in control, I want something better than the lines he's giving. It's her. It's always been her, girl of my dreams, love of my life. They tell me to let go.
It's here. It's everywhere. Yeah, this voiceover is absolute crap, but you would not notice it in a game. You wouldn't. It would help you be getting into the mood. You'd think, how cute, how different it plays when we are now passively watching it as a moviegoer.
Here's one thing that I'm having a problem with at this point in the movie is it doesn't do a great job of establishing the world we're in, right? Like, so far we've seen a mountain road and we've seen an overlook of the town of Silent Hill. We've had flashbacks or flash forwards to him being in a bar in a city. I don't know where the city is. From dialogue, we can kind of get that it's not too terribly far away. A day trip in the car, fine. But my thing is, with Silent Hill, I need that town to be a little bit more hidden. And I need it to not be something that if you happen to stop here, you overlook a lake and there it is for everybody to see. I need it to be off the beaten path. I need it to be accessibly hard to get to.
Well, it is now, because there's been some kind of biohazard event. The tunnel that used to take you into the city has been fenced up, and they put up the signs that lead you to believe it's got rage virus or something inside. They've built a lot to the mystery of what is lying in this town. We've only felt for the first 15 minutes what it's like to be outside Silent Hill, and met a smiling woman who wanted to get away from it and died there. But now what will it be for him to go back? Again, we'll wander from bit to bit. It starts with falling ash, of course. We think it's snow, but it is falling ash in a submerged graveyard. And we're meeting one of many characters who represent an aspect in this character's mind of Mary. Angela.
In the game, we're going to find out all these people are the same, and Maria is supposed to have a striking resemblance to Mary, and it's brought up. But here in the movie, seeing the same actress in different wigs, and here she looks really pale, is too obvious. It's making it way too clear these are different aspects of Mary's psychological makeup.
Angela, what I come to understand, represents the tortured side of Mary, right? The abused, psychologically damaged. This woman has obviously got crazy hair, is grabbing sandbags and trying to stop water that's already flooded the tombstones. And she seems to want to make this guy stop right here. If he did, he would see Mary's gravesite, but he wants to find his girlfriend. He's convinced she's alive, and he continues on.
I do not get Angela through this. In the game, I still don't entirely get Angela, but there was, if you want to deal with father figures, Angela is the one, because it comes out in the game she was molested by her father and sexually abused her whole life, and she ends up committing suicide at the end. And this could be seen as a part of Mary being explored through this Angela character. Here, I just don't feel this one is as well integrated as the Maria bit is.
This is where Stuart's question of whether or not you can make a movie out of cutscenes from a video game is going to be put to the test for the first time, right? In a game, you spend time with these characters, you get to know them, they impact your decision-making going forward. Here, our first encounter with somebody as an NPC, if you will, is just going to be a real quick, like, exposition, hey, the town's dead, don't go there, and we're off to the next scene.
And also, in a game, anything made in the 21st century at the very least, you get more story during playing than just cutscenes. In old games, Nintendo games and Genesis and early PC games in the 90s, you played and then you'd get a cutscene, and you could splice those cutscenes together. But here, conversations happen while you walk down a road. They've found ways to integrate story and character more into gameplay moments. And so, yeah, you can't just take cutscenes and make a coherent movie anymore, because, like, we reviewed Until Dawn late last year, and that game is all story even while you have the controls, which is why I could never hit the buttons in time, is because I'm just walking and having conversations, and then a Wendigo jumps out and I didn't expect it. So you get to know your characters better by playing them now. It's not all characterization is compressed into a cutscene.
Yeah, but James goes walking on and he gets to a church, and it brings one of many flashbacks he's going to have throughout Act 2 of being in this field trying to paint Mary and saying, I'm going to come live with you. You're now my muse. I'm going to give up the city and museums and clubs and my fast weed-smoking life to be in this simple town with you. And she's worried because, quote, there are parts of her that he hasn't seen. And so what I think we're seeing, every woman that we're meeting is a part of Mary. And Angela represents the damaged part. Later, the little girl is Laura. The sexy, mischievous femme fatale is Maria. They're all parts of Mary. And of course, her trauma, right? The story of her and her father is at the center of all of that.
Right, and that's all confirmed later on when we see him looking at the headstone that has all of those names on there. She apparently has 4 first names.
In psychodrama, everything we meet is not a character. It's a reflection of one person and the way they see their obsession.
But also in this point, we start to see some weirdness, right? They're kind of frolicking in the grass, having a lovey-dovey time, but Mary has a bloody nose that's dripping on him.
Yeah, anytime you're with Mary, there's always something weird that goes wrong. Like you always know there's never going to be a date that isn't like mixed with her dead-eyed and creepy or some twitching, faceless zombie coming down the street squirting acid. Yes, this girl's creepy, and so is this town. And when he gets back to town, he's shocked that it looks like the Silent Hill we've seen in 2 movies now.
Actually, it looks identical to the Silent Hill remake video game, to the point I legitimately think they took the assets from the game development team and said, that'll do. We'll use that as the buildings and the broken down cars and everything. I was surprised some of the building signs are different. I don't know why they didn't have the same bar and everything. But when he enters the town, I'm like, these buildings look like PlayStation 5 backgrounds. They do not look like computer CG, like Alita Battle Angel or Avatar or anything. And they don't look like blue screen. They literally look like PlayStation 5 rendered graphics.
Do you like it? I mean, is there a way that you could appreciate aesthetically what this filmmaker has tried to do in integrating the game into a movie? I kind of do. I keep going back and forth on it. I'm challenged by it. I don't want to watch a movie that looks like this because I just don't think that it's animated well enough to feel alive. But maybe that's the point, because a lot of those video games, I don't know about the remake, but the old Silent Hill that I watched, this is about the standard.
I feel like it works better in Silent Hill than it does outside of the town. Like when we're at the bar earlier on, that feels very cheap and backlotty. In Silent Hill, I think I'm okay with it because this is the world that we're being drug into.
That's where I'm at, is I'm okay with it for Silent Hill, but I do wish it was integrated in a way that maybe let us know they know what they're doing. If everything else felt real, but this felt fake, I might go with it more. Or, hell, just complete CG this. Make this a CG animated film, and I would certainly accept this as part of the aesthetic. As it is, because I loved playing this remake, it's giving me joy because it's reminding me of how great the game is, but it's also something I'm looking askance at. Like, I don't know how I feel about them doing this for a movie.
Yes, 2 viewings in, and I'm just not sure, but I'd prefer this than them just pretending they had the money last time and walking around dingy sets. They're trying for something. Gans is trying to make art. And so I'll follow him into this nightclub, Heaven's Night, where we get the first inklings that there's a cult, right? That there's all these creepy people that Mary calls her family, that her father has died and everyone feels indebted to him. He made this town. She's the apple of his eye. And so now we're going to hover around her. And if she gets a boyfriend, we're going to give him stink eye.
That's so weird. This entire cult subplot both got me excited because it's something not in the game. Mary's father is not in the game.
Oh.
The town founder is not in the game. This sounds like stuff from Silent Hill 1 that they incorporated. Also, there's no ash falling in the game. That's a Silent Hill 1 thing where the town had fires and everything.
That made me laugh, I gotta say, because Angela's just like, first the fires came and then it rained. I'm like, well, that solves the fire, right? Why is it burning and flooding?
So all of this had me a little bit intrigued, but while it has tinges of Rosemary's Baby, man, is this an underexplored subplot. It feels like huge chunks either never got filmed or got cut out on the way to keep this at 100 minutes. And so what's left is just confusing and unfulfilling.
Yeah, they're going to give you a big data dump about this cult late into this film and be like, all right, so here's everything we weren't able to tease in a mystery. But we don't know. Right now, it does feel like a mostly female-led coven that's encircling around Mary and kind of keeping James at arm's length. But, of course, we finally got to get to monsters, and I have been waiting. Finally, we met this homeless man, and now a faceless torso that we've seen, I think, in all the movies, squirting acid out of her middle, is frying him and turning him into liquid.
I looked up the name because I wanted to know how to refer to these creatures. They're just called armless. It's not the most creative name in the world.
Okay. Cenobites, maybe?
They really do. When I was rewatching the Silent Hill movies, I am like, these are all like from the direct-to-video Hellraiser sequel level Cenobites. But I got excited again because I'm like, oh yeah, this is where you pick up the radio. And when the radio goes to static, you know shit's about to go down because for some reason all the monsters make static. And there wasn't a homeless guy getting killed in the game, but it's kind of a nice opening to give us a little bit of gore, an early kill, if you will.
And to extract from my point, is this Mary too? Is this Mary in sickness full of the poison that they feed her? Like how they turn her into, later we'll find out, this cult destroys her?
I don't think so. I don't think Eddie is Mary either. I think the guys in Silent Hill maybe are parts of James?
Totally. That's how I would read that. Yeah, Pyramid Head and Eddie are different. But anytime we see, this is a female form, I'm thinking it's Mary at her sickest.
Oh, you mean the armless one. I thought you meant the homeless man.
Yeah, no, the armless, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the homeless man was Mary, and I was really confused.
No.
Everybody's Mary. It's a very easy allegory to follow.
Yeah. No. I think that this creature, once the air raid siren's going, yeah, there's several of them. Suddenly being here and remembering the past has turned scary for him. It goes from blue to red, and James is on the run. And I think what used to be romantic and attractive has turned into a horror film, finally, at last.
And one thing I think they're doing visually that I think is working within their budget here is the transitions we see of these places between the current Silent Hill overgrown hellscape into what it used to be. Like, I think these transitions when he's in the hallway of his old apartment building and all of a sudden it starts to become nicer and brighter and the craggliness goes away. I think that these are working visually for me when that happens.
I like the artistic direction in how the entire color palette changes and seems to fall away. I just wish they had more money to make it not look like the 1990s Spawn film.
Yeah, I recognize it's not good enough to pass as a real movie, but maybe as a reflection on video game cutscenes, it's doing it just right. As he's running to his apartment, there's rats and then there's roaches, and the roaches seem to have a human head on them. Is that Joshua Crane, the father?
I thought all of them were Mary. I thought they were Mary heads on there. Joshua, we only get a bare glimpse of Joshua, and so I don't feel like he's known enough for me to say that is Joshua. They try to make more of them, like these bugs are monstrous moths, and Mary is a moth coming out of a cocoon.
Well, Mary's the moth, and Dad is the roach, right? I mean, that's the way that I'm seeing it, is that Dad is the infestation, the poison in her blood, the thing that's going to ultimately corrupt and destroy her, metaphorically or maybe in actual horror movie cult terms. We'll see the head is part of this altar. As he's wandering around this apartment building, he finds this little nook that he knew his wife always kept. That's where we see the picture of Dad, and she has like a clay bust of his face as well. The face could be removed, but she has the head of her father in there. I thought that was the head on the roaches.
That bust freaked me out because I know it's supposed to be Joshua Crane, but to me it either looked like Fidel Castro shaved his mustache or a really bad Fred Armisen. Or maybe the blind woman from that Lionel Richie video made this bust of Joseph Crane, but it doesn't look good.
No, it looked paper mache almost. It was pretty bad. It looked like a low polygon thing.
She made it.
Not to be too pedantic, but it is going to be a sticking point, I think, with a lot of fans of this game. You said that Mary and James were married. You said it was his wife. They're not. They're just boyfriend and girlfriend here. In the game, they were.
Right. Good point. And that's part of it, is that he'll be able to walk away from this. He won't be able to hang. He has a flashback of these cultists. He comes in midday with groceries and they're all around her. Mary is sitting in a yoga pose and they're feeding in her head, love makes you off balance, putting in the idea that she's losing herself by falling in love.
James interrupts and they all just stop and walk out. I mean, this is some bad shit. And all I'm thinking, and maybe this is my own personal bias as someone who grew up in a small to medium-sized town and all I wanted to do was leave, but I'm like, why is he moving to Silent Hill to be with her? He lives apparently in the city she wanted to go to.
Yes.
Why doesn't she go to live with him? I just don't understand the conceit of what made this relationship, him giving up everything to be with her when she wanted out. I mean, she was leaving Silent Hill apparently for good when she met him, and then was just like, all right, I'll just stay.
I think it's the cultist. I think we're to understand that once they get their hooks in her, under the guise of being gal pals coming over for a lunch date, they just get in her head and convince her not to go. They need her for the ritual that they're having.
In a longer cut of this movie, maybe it'd make more sense that Mary needs to stay back and take care of her ailing father or something. So if they want to be together, truly, his only choice is to move where she is.
Yeah, they don't give enough to this cult. They kind of throw that idea away at the end at the hospital. It definitely could have been done cleaner, narratively speaking. But we do get Eddie at this point, and I do wonder, is this what James would have been if he stayed in Silent Hill? We'll find out. He ends up leaving. Mary won't, but he does. If he did, would he be this porky guy vomiting into a toilet and having such disdain for everyone that lives here?
Not everything from the game needed to be put on screen. I think this character is one of them that should have been cut, because in the game, it's this big thing that he is an actual human being. He is not a part of James' psyche.
He killed someone, right?
He killed all his bullies when the town went to hell. He was a picked on fat kid who used this opportunity to murder those who picked on him. And then later, James says something to him that Eddie takes the wrong way, and Eddie is a boss battle. You have to kill Eddie in the game. And then James has this moment of, I killed a human being. And that is James not remembering he already killed a human being. He killed his wife. But here in the game, it was part of his development to kill something that was not imaginary. And so that's what Eddie represented. Here, Eddie is just there and then runs away and we never see Eddie again. It is so pointless.
Again, I always try to find meaning. Yes, it's repurposed. It doesn't mean the same thing as the game. But Eddie does say this place is heaven now. And again, it makes me think, oh, this is where James is going. He's dead. This is where his spirit is. That he's enjoying it now that, I guess, the water contamination plant got drowned in the flood. And now everyone drank poison water. He's got a rash on him too. Everyone died of sickness. It sounds like a flesh-eating virus or something like that. And that he also mentions, quote, these things showed up, and maybe he's referring to what's down the hall.
I think that's what he means, is he can see the monsters too, and Pyramid Head and all of that. But yeah, I got excited because I had gotten through the game far enough to get to Eddie and all of that. I'm like, okay, here's Eddie. Let's see what they do with him. Eddie walks down the hall with him until they find little girl Laura, and Eddie just runs off. And we never see Eddie again.
That feels like you could come back to Eddie one more time. He's not really important in my mind. In road movies, you do just meet people sometimes. sometimes once and go on. They tell you something important and go on. He told us what happened in this town. Everyone went insane, that the water made them insane and monsters showed up. And so maybe that's all his purpose is. And now he really did not want James messing with that little girl that lives in the walls. And he's super upset. He's out because there's Pyramid Head. And of course, this should mean a lot, right? That this is the icon of the games bursting down the hallway and ending up in this giant fight with a merry-headed spider.
In the game, there are these mannequins. These were the ones who finally beat the living shit out of me, and I couldn't go any further. They have no head, arms, or feet. They're supposed to represent James's sexualization of Mary and how he just saw her as something to fuck. That's why no head, no legs. But they had the leg braces on that Mary had during her sickness. And so they beat him up. Here, we start with the mannequin. Its head falls off. I'm like, okay, it's the mannequin from the game. And then, yeah, it turns into a weird spider CGI monster. Gans was advertising before this movie came out, oh, all of our monsters here are dancers in makeup. We didn't CGI our monsters. The armless, the nurses, all dancers. Well, this is some CGI bullshit. It looks bad, this spider.
No, it looks pretty good. Come on, give him the spider. The spider's creepy.
When it's walking all over the walls and it opens its mouth, it's reminded me of 1999 The Mummy level CGI. It does not hold water today.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it looks decent enough, and especially in these low lighting situations, they get away with a little bit more. But the part that's bothering me is just how demystifying they're making Pyramid Head already. Like, we're seeing inside of his helmet, it's obviously James. Like, that's supposed to be a secret, an allegory, but like, they're showing it to us. Like, it's almost too much wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that they think that their audience can't follow along with what's going on here. And it is just a quick fight. Like, he slices her in half with his big sword, and we're done with this scene as soon as it starts. Like, we finally start getting some action here, and they can't get out of it quick enough, it feels like.
Well, here's how I interpret this moment of like, oh, this looks like domestic violence, right? Pyramid Head is either James and how he maybe killed Mary, or Dad taking sexual advantage of her.
And it is this flash cutting with Pyramid Head. James Pyramid Head, James Pyramid Head, James Pyramid Head. I'm like, okay, you're telling me very clearly James's Pyramid Head with your cutting here. And so in the game, James really resented Mary because it was his wife. She was sick for 3 years. I think it was just cancer or something. It was not poison related. And he came to be frustrated that he was a caretaker. And so I could see this happening in the game as his resentment. He never beat her, but he wanted to beat her. I would see this as a fantasy James beating up his wife in this telling where he wasn't part of her illness. He left town and she got sick and he came back for literally an hour. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he would feel this level of anger towards Mary.
No, they were together for some period of time in unhappiness. We only see the flashback of the day that he walks out on her. But I imagine that he lives pretty much frustrated as an artist and getting drunker and drunker here in Silent Hill. To me, that represents Pyramid Head, right? The savage, the meanness. And again, that also may be her dad as well. Like, he's becoming her father. This is what psychodrama is. It takes Freudian archetypes, it literalizes them as performance, and we're just watching the way people interact with each other as this kind of weird interpretive dance. But I like this scene. I actually think this scene is a better example of what Gans is trying to do here.
I like it when Pyramid Head hears James in the closet. And, you know, Pyramid Head has that huge blade that he drags behind him. And he loses the blade in this fight, and he's dragging the spider creature behind him like it's a blade. But like a lot of these psychodramas, or anytime Gans writes himself into a corner where the character looks like he's going to die.
Literally into a corner.
Yeah, and in this case, a closet, then, oh, we're just going to have the siren go off, and now he's in daylight and the town looks better.
Yeah, again, he might already be dead. This might all be walking up Jacob's ladder to heaven and processing his life. I mean, I think that's a reading of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go into this movie with the idea that a lot of this has the excuse of, hey, this is all just a nightmare and an allegory, you're going to be able to forgive a lot of this stuff.
You have to have that mentality, or you're going to be really pissed at how aimless this feels and how he just keeps kind of wandering around into the next situation without making choices, not actively steering the plot. We like active characters in movies, and psychodramas are not that way.
And the same with games, and in both the game and the movie, this is a mystery. This is a what happened to Mary. You know, there's something about Mary and we don't know. You have to be into this mystery and hooked to find out more. I think the game does it better. I think the game plays better with the mysteries than this does, but I'm still kind of into it, especially the new cult stuff. I really want to know, what is it with this cult? Is that why Silent Hill is a hellscape now? You know, I can't decide if Silent Hill is all in his mind or if Silent Hill was destroyed by the cult and the monsters are demons raised by the cult, and thus he's facing literal demons that his wife birthed through her role in the cult. I'm into this mystery, though. I am liking this more than the other Silent Hills at this point.
Here's how I would frame it. And it's about this time that I put this movie together. This is what it's like to date someone who is sexual trauma. And you are trying to have a sexual relationship with someone who has had damaged sexual relationship with a family member at that. That's what's playing out here. I don't think any of this is real. I think that this is performative of what that emotional state is like. And we'll see quickly that James runs into Angela again. There's Laura up on a wall because she saw a monster and she's playing with a little creepy doll that Mary gave her. And before you know it, he's chased her into a labyrinth and we met the final version of Mary, Maria. And she's even like, I know I look like her. And I'm like, actually, you look like Terry Nunn, the lead singer of the 80s rock band Berlin, with those white hair and the orange-pink tips. I'm like, that is her look from No More Words, but okay.
Yeah, you nailed it. And real quick with Laura, like, we do get a quick glimpse at her doll, and it's a living thing. It's a creepy monster baby.
Is that the dad? It felt like that was the dad head again. I couldn't be sure.
I really felt like I knew where this was going. Remember, I didn't finish the game, and I hadn't watched all the cutscenes yet. When I saw this movie, I'm like, oh, Mary was pregnant, and he killed her and their baby.
Right.
And this is the corpse of the baby she's carrying around, because she's like, no one loves her. Look what you did to her. And yet, I think this is supposed to be Mary that Laura is carrying around, but I thought it was Mary's baby. I thought he got Mary pregnant.
No, this is little Mary playing with a doll that's Daddy. She played with Daddy back when she was a child. Yeah, you're carrying from the game.
Having watched the movie now, I think when she says, Mary gave me this doll, the doll is also Mary. The doll is Mary's corpse.
And that's a reading too. Again, with psychodrama, there is no definitive, right? Everything is an abstraction of the truth. And yeah, you can have multiple readings if you're into it. And again, it's a struggle to stay awake. Again, this is the seatmate next to me is actively telling his partner, don't wake me up anymore. He gets up for another drink refreshment because he doesn't want to pay attention to this movie.
But just like in a dream, all of a sudden, like you said, there's a new character that looks fresh and clean. And this very much has a dream-like essence to it because, like you said, Stuart, you were nodding off. I felt like I might have fell asleep and woke up and missed a whole bunch of stuff that led to this moment. But it's just like, nope, it's Maria. It's Mary in a wig. And I guess that's just what's happening now.
Yeah. Why won't he leave with her? That's the pressure she keeps putting on him. Let's go off together. And he's like, no, I got to find my girlfriend. And she'll constantly be needling him. Is she still your girlfriend? And of course, we're thinking this is your girlfriend, but he hasn't accepted that yet.
And in the game, it's kind of weird. Here, it does play like a little bit of a love triangle, but in the game, depending on how you play and how much time you choose to spend with Maria in the game, the big bad could be Maria trying to make you love her. There is an ending of the game where you turn your back on Mary and leave town with Maria as your new lover, but then Maria coughs, and it feels like you're just going to go through this whole cycle of sick spouse again. But here, it's weird to have a love triangle with the ghost of your dead girlfriend and also your dead girlfriend.
But again, David Lynch, I think about Mulholland Drive and two women sharing the same identity in that, or Twin Peaks with Maddie and Laura Palmer. And you can't tell me Gans is not enamored with a Lynchian vibe here. That's what he's playing with, that we clearly know that this is the woman he's looking for, but it's presented as an other and sort of a more sexy, dangerous femme fatale is really how she comes off. And she's going to basically be given the ungracious duty. Once they reach the hospital, she's like, okay, let me spell it out for you. This town is run by a cult, and the leader was Mary's father, and you somehow have forgotten that you followed that girl gang down into a sewer where they ripped her into pieces and fed her poison.
There were also guys there. There was that one weird guy who's part of the cult too. But yeah, that he goes into the sewer because all powerful cults have their meetings in the sewer.
It's pretty fancy sewers.
I did geek out because he has to move a dumpster to find the trapdoor. That's one of the puzzles in the game, is you're constantly moving dumpsters.
No doubt. I could tell when I was watching gameplay. Yes, following the sound of music and hitting little runes in the floor and what have you. Yeah, sure. There's stuff here for game fans, no doubt.
And the score, a lot of this, they brought in the composer of the music from the game to do the score here, but a lot of this music is straight out of the game, and they kept playing it so often in the reboot of the game. I'm almost getting like trauma flashbacks as I'm hearing it here.
It's definitely setting a tone that is fitting with the visuals. I'll give it that. But you're right. There's some weird things here where it's like, oh yeah, we're in a video game movie where not only did he find that secret door, but like real quick he has to hit two buttons at the same time to pop open the door and stuff like that. I don't know that was needed. And I don't know if that's directly pulled from the game. And like it's supposed to be like a moment where if you are a fan of the game, you're like, oh yes, I remember doing that. It took me an hour to figure that out.
But what does it mean that, yes, I think she does this all the time, right? This isn't just a one-off. Every Thursday, my gals got me and they drag me down and I'm suddenly surrounded by people in hoods who are shaking and waving, and they put like a gold glitter mask on my face and I'm sucking down some poison and I'm now crowd surfing and they rip me to pieces and maybe eat my flesh.
Right. Is this the movie saying we're not going to straight up go into gang rape territory and instead disturb us with cannibalism? That can't be true.
Here's the only thing that would make sense to me, is if this was a sex cult. If they were all like having sex with her down there, James's reaction might be justified. But what he's seeing is his wife bled, and I don't know why and how he could ignore the wounds on her body for such a long sexual relationship and not notice, oh, you have all these cuts where you were bled. But if she was being raped by a gang, I could see both wanting to save her from that, but also having some level of discomfort that your partner seemingly willingly, she's drugged, I mean, she's roofied, but seemingly willingly is having group sex without you. And so his getting so pissed off at her for this would only make sense if there was something she was doing voluntarily. As it is, he doesn't need to get drunk and get pissed. He needs to get authorities involved and save her.
Right, but again, the fact that he forgot that this even happened leads me to believe it didn't happen, right? These are shadows. These are metaphors. Something has kept this woman stuck in her childhood home and being haunted by the things that her father did to her, and she's not willing to leave. I think that's the truth of it. And whether there was an actual cult that did this to her, no, I don't believe that's the case. But she's stuck being re-traumatized continuously, and he wants her badly to get out of it. And when she won't, he walks out on the relationship. That's how I'm taking it.
The fact that she dies of poison given to her by her father and the cult, and that is presented to us several times as objective reality.
That's metaphor. That's the father's poison is his sexual interaction with a child.
See, I took it as this is Rosemary's Baby, and there really is a cult, and Mary is kind of gaslit.
I think this is The Owls Are Not What They Seem, and Laura Palmer's dad turns into Bob, and I think it's someone repurposing incestual trauma and doing it in a very Lynch way.
So we have different readings, and it's open to that.
It definitely is. I think I fall closer to Stuart's side, where I think the only thing that is objective reality in this movie are things that happen when we're in full color. Everything else is up to interpretation and James processing his trauma.
Yeah, reality does poke its head back in here because M comes back in here around this time that he's in the hospital. Suddenly he's waking up in the bed and his therapist is there breaking all kinds of codes. I'm hoping that nurse just takes her certificate and just shreds it, because you can't be a therapist anymore if you're just telling strangers everything that your patient has told you in the last year. But she's like, well, yeah, he's been fucked up ever since his girlfriend died, and this is the way it is.
But yes, we are seeing objective reality here, I think. I mean, it's so hard to tell because they tell him he's at Brookhaven Hospital in Silent Hill, which is the same hospital we saw destroyed. And he told his doctor he went to Silent Hill. Is Silent Hill a perfectly fine town? And he's been wandering through it in a drunken stupor, disassociating. And that's why they've tied him down and captured him. Or what's going on? Is this the only time we see reality? I don't know. The movie, and this can be a plus or a minus, I feel like it never knows what it wants to be. Now, the plus is sometimes you can like that. Oh, let the viewer decide what's real. In other times, it can just feel like you're hedging, you're bullshitting, and you are not being satisfying in your reveals.
I think there is a reality that happens. I think the story at the very end of this, at the climax of this, is real. We do see one real moment between them, their last moment together. But yes, this is mostly about a man coming in and out of reality and processing his own trauma, being someone that was sexually traumatized. And yes, he chooses trauma. The doctor says, please try to get better. He continues to stare out the window looking like a video game character again. And pretty soon the moths are on the glass and the skies are getting red. The air raid siren is going off and we're heading into the climax where he and Maria are running from a whole bunch of crazy killer nurses.
Yeah, more iconography from the game, right? Like everybody who knows Silent Hill knows the nurses. This is a pretty fairly creepy scene. You know, they walk by this room and it feels video game-ish, like you need to tiptoe and not wake them up. But one wakes up and starts banging on a gurney, and so they all start creaking alive. And it has a good beginning to it. I feel like the resolution of it feels a little rushed, but I like the setup to this scene.
Yeah, I could have gone on a little bit longer. Again, that's a money issue, I think. But yes, they're walking through and it just feels like the nurses are mannequins. But once one of them starts banging, it's getting them all to move like, performance dancers. And suddenly it's a race to get to the elevator. Maria gets cut and James is convinced that he's going to find his girlfriend and fuck Maria. He's going to walk on down a hallway of paintings and Pyramid Head is going to finish Maria off from behind with a sword.
Meaning James wants Maria dead, I think.
It means I'm not leaving. I want Mary. I don't want this slut Maria. I won't accept the healthy woman that wants to move on from trauma. I'm going to find the girl that I was in the relationship with because I feel guilty about leaving her to die.
Yeah, what's confusing, if we are following this allegory that we think they're trying to lay out here, is James improving? Is he growing as a character here? Is he making the right choice? Or is he suicidal and knowing that he has to get to the end of this to make amends for what he did in his own mind?
It's healthy that he wants to explore in the ways that you would with therapy what happened to you, but it seems to be that every uncovery is leading him more and more to be with Mary, meaning specifically to kill himself so that he can be dead like Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you don't want. You want to explore trauma, but you don't want to be overwhelmed by trauma. That's why he needs to check in with a better therapist. Not him. Fire her. It's really terrible. She's telling your business. But find a good one you like, and one that's less judgy, frankly. And maybe you can get through this.
And that's why at Now Playing we use BetterHelp.com. Find a therapist that works for you.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I don't know about you. I just use ChatGPT. It tells me what I want to hear.
This is the way for so many people, and I'm not sure that it's the healthy way, but at any rate, maybe that's who he's listening to, because he's now falling into the water with all his paintings and coming out on the beach, and we're pretty much at the climax. That beautiful Lakeview hotel where they fell in love is now in fire, and he's going to go in there and have everything revealed.
Yeah, he's remembering that he got called back to Silent Hill after leaving Mary there. The breakup scene of them, again, the fact that she's like, I'm not going with you when you're like this. Like what? I expect her to say drunk, abusive, mean.
Yeah.
No, scared. I'm not going to go with you when you're scared. I was like, okay, she should have just gone with him.
I mean, you're right there. I think you're on it. He is acting abusive. He is drunk and acting aggressive. And I think it's triggering her to think of him in the same way that she thought of her father. I think that's what we're to think. Is I'm not going with you because you're my father right now. You're Pyramid Head.
Maybe it is really just difficult to suss out, but we now see him later on. The only time I believe this is a human actor is when he's wearing that fake-ass beard, because no CG creation would have a beard that bad looking for a couple of scenes. And now he's not painting her, he's painting himself, and then angry at himself, so throwing red paint at it. And that's when he gets the call. Mary needs him. He races back. She's dying because of the poison that has been given to her for so long.
Yeah, several things are happening here. I mean, again, he's meeting all the encounters. I think Laura at this point has spelled out for him. Remember, the full name wasn't Mary Crane. It was Mary Angela Laura Crane, which I don't think that's too many names. Nobody has a name that long.
No. Although the actress comes close. I mean, she is Hannah Emily Anderson. All you need is to add one more.
Laura, yeah. Emily, yeah. Add the Laura in there, and then you can include the kid. But again, they want to play this trick where we're supposed to go, oh, all these women are her. And here's, to my theory that I've been posited, the most on the nose and really kind of shocking moment is James finds Angela in a bed where she's being pulled into the sheets by hands, right? And he gets sucked in too, and they're in this like living room. It feels like a Cronenberg nightmare of body horror where the room is flesh and the bed is a sexual perpetrator, Mary, and the bed are all fused together. Like there's testicles coming out of the sheets and everything. And
there's a fabric texture to her face in a couple of the shots. Like, I think what they're doing here is working pretty well. I mean, if you're trying to establish a nightmare realm, this is working.
It reminded me of like Brian Yuzna, like Reanimator, Society, if you ever saw that 80s horror film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really going there in this moment. And it's sort of telling you that this is the root of it all, right? Angela, again, was the traumatized one. This is the part of Mary that just can't get over, well, who can get over the rape bed? I mean, this creation is way scarier than nurses or twitching armless torsos.
But she looks kind of like a weird mummy in it. And here's where I finally realized we've been seeing moths throughout the whole thing. Oh, she is a moth. That's why she has 4 arms. And the bed sheets are floating around her like moth wings. And I don't know. If it was a butterfly and she was like becoming a beautiful butterfly, I'd kind of understand it. But she's becoming a disgusting moth.
I think she is becoming as close to a butterfly as she's going to. She's damaged, so it's still something gross about her. There's still something harmed about her, but James can now want to be with her. I think the point is, before he left her because she was this way, and now he sees beauty and wants to put her in his convertible and drive off the pier. And this is, we get the flashback, right? Now things make sense. Room 318. It's 3:18 on the clock when he comes back. This is reality. This is what really happened. He left for some period of time and then got word of her health declining and came back maybe to this hotel. Maybe she was convalescing in room 318. I don't know. But as he put her to bed, she basically says, help get my dad out of me. I'm tired of dad being inside me. He is the poison in my veins. And he mercy kills her.
See, I took this as much more literal because the flashbacks I thought were objective reality. So I thought the cult was objective reality. I thought her father, it fits with what we saw in the previous Silent Hill movies, that the town's founder was evil, and that's why there's demons. Remember, there were cults and burning children and things in the early Silent Hill movies. It leads me to believe this is real, and that she's begging him to kill her. I did love that he's grabbed a monogrammed towel from wherever they are. I thought it might be a hotel.
I think it is the hotel. I think that's where they first made love, and I think that's where he said goodbye to her and, smothered her.
But she's asking for it here. In the game, it's so much more damning because he just gets sick of her. He can't take it. He can't take being a caregiver. She's been sick with cancer or whatever for 3 years. He's been a caregiver for 3 years. He snaps and he kills her. It's a murder. It's not a mercy killing. She was terminal anyway, but he kills her.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the game. You're saying it's... yeah. I don't know. You're saying like this movie wusses out. I actually think this plays better. It plays better that she asked to be killed and that he does this as a way of being close and then just couldn't follow through. Has been thinking this whole time since, and who knows how long, he's been wallowing around in this alcoholic stupor. I want to be dead too.
To me, I think it changes the entire impetus of the story, to be honest with you. If it's a mercy killing, then you can kind of see where James is coming from. The game puts teeth into it, I think, and it's like you have to get into the headspace of like trying to empathize with a character who is ready to kill his wife for his own selfish reasons.
Yeah, I agree. The game is willing to make you hate the character you've been playing or despise him or at least not agree he did all the right things, whereas I feel this movie is trying to portray him as a saint who's tortured by what he was asked to do and by leaving his wife, and that's why he deserves salvation. It's very different impulses behind the endings.
Yeah, but why would this movie be better if you found out this guy that I haven't liked this whole movie is an asshole? Like, he was an asshole at the first shot driving around the mountains, and now he's an asshole again. To me, it feels better that there's something redeeming about him. He's been so hard to like this entire movie. Okay, well, now I at least understand why he's trapped in this trauma. It works better for the movie storyline. I really think it does. And yes, we're supposed to care now that he wants to die, that he's going to drive into the water. We've had watery images and poisoned water this whole time. And now he's going to take her hand when they hit the bottom of Toluca Lake. He's not going to swim up. He's going to stay with her in the car. And I think we see him drowned in the rearview mirror.
We do. Again, it looks so computery in that rearview mirror. All the mirror shots look especially fakey. And this is where the movie should have ended, though, because in the very opening meet cute, we see a shot of Mary in the water. I feel like this might have been the intended original ending until somebody decided we need to tack on a happy ending, because there's so much water imagery. And given that Mary didn't die by water, Mary didn't drown, that he was drowning the whole time, very Jacob's Ladder, very perfect button on this movie, but they keep it going for one stupid more ending.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. They could have died down here, and this stupid ending you're talking about is them ascending to heaven, right? Now we're both dead and we can be together, and I know I've accepted it, and away we go.
Right. The whole detour into Silent Hill is just an allegory for the path that they went down.
Yeah, leaving purgatory to heaven.
Yep.
Maybe. It's all different readings. I still think maybe the reality is he's tied down in that hospital with that M doctor looking over him, and thus he's maybe ascending into permanent psychosis of living in a happy reality of his own making. I don't know.
Again, I think there are movies, Jacob's Ladder and Brazil and Mulholland Drive. I think there are movies that celebrate the ambiguity of not being able to trust what we see and having radically different interpretations of the story just presented.
I'll tell you why this doesn't work for me as a dream sequence. He gets Mary in the car. She says, "What do you paint?" For really rude reasons. I mean, imagine being in real life. You just meet someone. "Oh, I'm a painter. What do you paint?" And then drives away. Never answers. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, he's creepy. I don't like this James guy at all.
But when he drives away, that Mustang fishtails. This means that man, or whoever's driving in that shot, does not know how to handle that machine. I had a Mustang. If you fishtail like that, I know it's rear-wheel drive, it means you suck as a driver. You should not be in that car. Go get a Taurus or something. Get out of the Stang. You are dangerous. That he fishtails while taking off down that road tells me if this is real life, he's a shitty driver. If this is a fantasy, he's a shitty driver in his own fantasy.
He's on a mountain road, for God's sake. That's dangerous on an open highway.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they're going to get to heaven. They might fly off the road before they get to that.
This whole thing started because he was a bad driver not paying attention to where he was going.
Exactly. Again, did he ever meet her? Is this all about an artist grappling with their struggle to communicate? So many readings to be had. Yeah. What movie did you want to watch? Maybe it's here.
Or maybe it's none of them. Let's find out. Justin Stewart, do you recommend people return to Silent Hill? Justin.
You guys nailed it right off the bat. Like, the whole time I was watching this, I couldn't help but think of Jacob's Ladder and how much better that movie does this trope than the one we're actually watching. I don't know if I could put my finger on why that one works better than this, because there's so many themes and visuals that are very similar. But at the end of Jacob's Ladder, I feel like, oh, they nailed it. At the end of this movie, I'm like, what did I just watch? And I think a lot of it comes down to, I don't even want to nail the actors. I think the acting was fine. I think the dialogue written for them was just first pass. It all seemed very stilted. I couldn't get over the fact that this whole movie we're following this James character who I couldn't see but anybody but Tom Brady circa 2011 when he had his long hair and Giselle was getting him to dress up fun. I don't know. Like, this whole movie, I'm just like, why is Tom Brady so worried about all this stuff? But that's beside the point. I think the movie does do some things well. I think visually, with the budget they had, I think this is the best looking version of Silent Hill we've been in. It feels the least like a cheap set, even though you can see the CGI in it. It brought me in and allowed me to feel this nightmare fuel that they're trying to have us feel. So I don't think it's a complete failure. I think visually it's good, sound-wise it's good. It does falter in places, and I think it's purposefully confusing in parts. I want to give it to the filmmakers that they are trying to cause confusion and not just lost in their own sauce and not sure where to go with this. And that helps me push this over into a mild recommend, but I'm not sure who I'm recommending it to, because I think anybody who's a huge fan of Silent Hill 2 is going to be disappointed with the changes to the story. I think what people love about that game is the story and how personal it can feel, and the changes made here I don't think are in service to that original game. So then am I recommending this to just a general audience of people that are going to see a horror movie in January? It's hard to say this is a great movie in that aspect either. So I don't want to ding this movie too hard because it's way better than the last time we were in Silent Hill, the 3D crap. Ugh. But this is an improvement over that, and I think there is something here, but luckily I don't think you have to spend your money. I think this will be on streaming within a week or two, and you can watch for yourself and make up your own mind.
Stuart.
Yeah, I hear you swerving around that road, and I am too. I'm smoking that blunt, cranking that music, and thinking, where am I going? Where am I headed with this? Because I think Christophe Gans made the best movie he could with the limitations he was given. And he made artistic choices that probably aren't going to please a fan base, right? Particularly if you came for the horror movie. Here's where I land. This is a psychodrama. It's dramatic. It's about people processing trauma. Is this movie good enough for people that have experienced sexual violence to find some kind of catharsis in it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say ultimately it's too lost in the game. And it just is kind of stuck. I know that he loved this game, and I know that this is a return to a video game movie, but I feel like the story that they wanted to tell was too serious to be trivialized by what we end up getting, which is a lot of aimless wandering around. The kind of stuff that I just absolutely hate in those straight-to-tape Children of the Corn movies or whatever. When we just don't have a plot, we just send people down hallways, meeting creepy people, and eventually credits roll. It comes off too much like that and not enough as a serious drama. But I do think there are really good things here. I want to like it. I want to recommend it. I think in some ways it's the most ambitious of the Silent Hill movies. It's the one that went for something bigger than just creating a mood, but it doesn't quite get there. I don't know that I would feel good recommending it, and I don't feel great not recommending it. It's just one of those mid-movies, but I guess I have to color an arrow, and I'm going to say red.
And I've been hammering this all review, but it bears repeating. The visuals of this movie look fake, artificial, smooth in that glossy, digital way, CG even when it really isn't, and all those backgrounds look ripped straight out of the Silent Hill 2 remake engine. But I'm not going to say it looks awful. I don't know that that's fair. First of all, the camera does have life. It moves. There are crane shots with scope. You can feel a strong artistic hand guiding every frame. There's that scene early on with the homeless guy where James hides behind a car and the camera swoops under the car as he's hiding and then swoops back out from under the car as he's revealing himself. It feels like nothing is real because he looks like a CG video game character, but you can feel just a strong artistic hand guiding every frame. I hate everything about how this movie looks, but I think some people might love this aesthetic. They might admire the commitment to a video game style, the purity of the vision, but I think not since Final Fantasy as a video game movie looked so much like a video game. So that is a huge problem for me, but it's not even the biggest problem. That honor, I think, goes to Jeremy Irvine. Justin, you were very kind to him. I think he has zero riz. His performance is either flat, unintentionally funny, or flat in a way that becomes unintentionally funny. That opening monologue as he's walking down the trail, it's laughable because of how dead it is. He is wrong for this movie. This guy started with Spielberg in Warhorse, his first film role starring for Spielberg, and now he's in Silent Hill. Papers could be written about a career downfall that harsh. And here's the real issue is even if you swapped out Jeremy Irvine for a great actor, I think the story still doesn't work. The game riffs on tropes as old as Bergman and a lot of Jacob's Ladder, but the game knows what it's doing. This film jams in that half-baked town founder cult subplot. Maybe it's all a metaphor for sexual abuse, but then what is still happening to Mary in that town after James leaves? It's a barely defined Rosemary's Baby knockoff, and then uses all of it to try to remove guilt and responsibility from our protagonist. I feel those choices undercut everything. I was actually on board for this movie at the start, but once the cult shows up, the poisoned daughter angle creeps in, and none of it goes anywhere or even clearly causes the town's downfall, assuming the town actually downfall at all, and it's not just in his mind, this movie collapses into what I think is a poorly written slog. I see why you fell asleep, Stuart. I wanted to. About the halfway point in this movie, I'm like, I don't hate it, but there's absolutely nothing investing me either. I think this Hill should have stayed silent, or at least stayed on consoles and off the big screen. It's a strong recommend for that Silent Hill 2 remake video game. If you're looking for a great game with a great story and you're into survival horror where you run from the monsters instead of shooting them because you're low on bullets, play that game. It's good, and I got it half off. The deluxe edition was half off on the PlayStation Store. But this movie, solid not recommend. It's even worse, I think, than Gans' previous effort.
I'm going to say it's the best of the trilogy and one of the better video game adaptations. Again, I appreciate it's an art movie. I really always can give somebody something. You try to do something. I think it failed. I think it's kind of boring, and I don't think it's earned some of where it goes. But again, if you try to make art, I'll appreciate that more than just a crass video game tie-in. It's the best, and then that one, which I actually did recommend, has mood. It's the middle movie that you just need to skip, right? Total crap.
To be completely clear, if this was not in the arcade and we were just watching this movie, it would be a solid not recommend for me. I gave it some points for being higher tier than some other video game movies that we've trudged through.
Agreed. In the arcade, it is golden.
Yeah.
In terms of movies, it is shit.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, why haven't we covered Jacob's Ladder? It's a movie I've wanted to return to. I haven't seen it in decades. I think about it still. I remember it being imperfect as well, but would love to return to it. Maybe we will, but that's not where we're going next. We're staying in the arcade. We're going to go to a game that I think really wants to be Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Fatal Frame.
Yeah, there is a Fatal Frame movie. I'm a little bit afraid because Christophe Gans is working on a Fatal Frame script so that there can be an American version of this movie. But right now, there's a foreign version of this movie, and we're going to be reviewing it next week.
Yeah, Japanese Catholic schoolgirls. What could go wrong?
As long as you keep Anthony Kiedis away from them, nothing.
I don't know what that means. In the meantime, if you like art movies, we got a real legit one that was up for, well, all right, a Golden Globe, not an Oscar, but probably something you have not seen before. It was something I'd never heard of. One of you patrons has picked it out this Friday for January patrons. We're covering The Fencer from 2016.
Sometimes I feel like Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle when we go from Return to Silent Hill to The Fencer. Now here's something we hope you really like.
Yeah, it's definitely something different. I think, yes, January patrons, if you haven't joined the patronage yet, I understand it can be a hill to climb and not always available, but I really do think it's a really cool thing if you have the opportunity. It's a way of experiencing the hosts and movies that are not franchises. Usually we are covering things that are one-off, that are in genres that aren't what we typically cover or they make video games about. I do think that, yes, this is just a different kind of movie we don't oftentimes cover this Friday. Join us for The Fencer.
Yes, it is available on Apple Podcasts, Patreon, and Podbean, and Patreon through Spotify. If you're $10 a month or more, you get well over 100 bonus reviews. Stuart says it can be a mountain to climb to donate, and I completely agree, and I understand subscription fatigue as somebody who canceled my Alamo Drafthouse subscription and canceled my Netflix subscription. But another mountain to climb would be to donate $10 and then listen to all 100 plus bonus reviews you're going to get. It is a mountain of content for $10 a month because we started it so many years ago and add at least one new bonus review exclusive. Only way you can get it is the $10 a month patronage. You're now getting them for about a dime a podcast. So we would greatly appreciate your support, and I think you're going to find some gems in there, from Dr. Strangelove to Apocalypse Now to Inside Out to Beetlejuice, Scrooged, a lot of podcasts. And yeah, some weird ones. High Tension, The Fencer, The House That Jack Built. I mean, Galaxy Quest. I just resaw Galaxy Quest in theaters this week. Best movie I've seen all week. So you can get all of that for a pledge of $10 or more.
And speaking of patrons, we really do need to celebrate them. Our hats are off to all of you, starting with A. Nick Hosick, A.T. White, Alejandro Avila, Andrew Doran, Andy Craik, Azana Reed, Carl Grasso, Chris Hargrave, Dale Winters, Dark Hue Studios.
We also can't forget G. La Torre Yates, Jeff Gannon, Gerard Lavelle, Henry, Jay Thunder, Jeff Wade, Jeffrey Gaudreau, Jeremy Mills, Jeremy Smith, Kiefer51, and Cox J.
And I want to give shout outs and deep heartfelt thanks to Joe Black, Julian Lewis, Kent Lyons, Kevin Smets, Lee Addison, Lucas Dosher, Kyle Dillard, Laces Out Dan. Thank you all.
And let's get some roses for Lucy Rodriguez, Mark Muskiki, Mark W., Martin D. Hibbets, Michael Windsor, Mohabir Kamira, Nath Williams, Neil McCauley, Patrick Favor, Robert Redden.
We also can't leave out Sean Burgess, Sean O'Keefe, Shownuff Stephen Bell.
Shownuff! Who is the master?
That takes me back. We got Simon Brennan, the Fuzzy 0101.
Or is that the Fuzzy 5 in binary? The Fuzzy 5.
It could be. You would know best. We got Timothy Graham, Tom Jancic, Tom Ward, Tony Lanzillotta, Fisher Ja 12, and T Ward 1971.
And finally, thank you so much to Now Playing Fan, Dimitri from Belgium, J. Clark Fisher, S.G. Harsh, Takasta 2176, Rudix, Hey You, Chris Cross, Seamus Finlayson, Maddie B, ZBGB, Grand Canyon, Trevor Harrison, and Waji Bader. Thank you. Thank you all. And speaking of show enough, The Last Dragon is one of those patron-exclusive reviews that we've done in those over 100 reviews. You can hear who the master is, Bruce Leroy, in that review.
That's a good one. I do like that film. Yeah.
So thank you all for your support. And if you haven't supported us, we understand. And thank you for listening to Now Playing. We'd appreciate it. You can help us out without money if you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's one of the best ways to help spread the word about our podcast. Or just post about us on Reddit. I want to give a shout out to SpiderFan241 who posted about us in podcasts on Reddit this past week. That also helps other people find our show, and thank you for that. And so that is as important as a donation. Thank you to everyone who does that. And Stuart, Justin, thank you for joining me. And until the fencer, game over.
That was the end of Silent Hill. These were good people. Most of them. Some you might say deserved it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Now Playing Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show.
You're kind of funny. You're pretty fucked up, but I don't know. I think you're goofy fun inside.
Goofy fun. That'd be nice for a change.
Come back to NowPlayingPodcast.com each week for another new movie review podcast.
You burned in the fire that you started, and nothing can save you, because you're already damned!
Also at our site, you can find hundreds of other movie reviews, including Star Wars, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Independence Day, the Avengers films, Back to the Future, Batman, Superman, The Fast and the Furious, and more.
Another one will come. This is still a place of lost souls.
Now Playing Podcast is a show without any sponsors or ads. We rely on support from listeners like you to keep Now Playing operating.
There is nothing you can do to save him without damning yourself.
I don't care. Just tell me what you know.
You can donate to the show and, as our thank you, receive bonus podcasts. Over 150 bonus movie reviews are available to choose from on the Now Playing Podbean page, including Alien, Night of the Living Dead, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, Psycho, Troll, and more.
Why'd you cut off the cards?
Look, Chris, that's not going to stop me from taking her there.
Find a full list of available bonus shows at nowplayingpodcast.com/donate.
I'm not okay. I need your help. Please. Please, hurry.
You can also join the Now Playing Patron campaign. Patrons of $10 or more get a new exclusive movie review every month, plus even more perks, including one where you can pick a movie for our hosts to review. Find the details on our website.
I'm trying to help you.
Stay back! Why?
Because I didn't know who I was working for then, but I do now.
If you want even more Now Playing reviews, place your order now for the first Now Playing book, Underrated Movies We Recommend. Get reviews of 125 films our hosts love. You can order the book by clicking the banner at the top of our homepage.
And anyone's name not found written in the book of life, they will be thrown into the lake of fire.
You can follow Now Playing on Facebook and Twitter, where we post announcements of new episodes and where the hosts post movie mini reviews. Links to our social media pages are available on our homepage.
Do you Facebook? Nothing like that?
Fuck Facebook.
Now Playing Podcast is produced by Arnie Carvalho.
You created this nightmare.
Everyone has a different nightmare in Silent Hill. I am there.
Now Playing is edited by Heath and Arnie.
You're in your own hell.
Now Playing credits read by Brock.
Have you heard a single word I've said?
Yeah.
Have you heard a single word I've said?
The opinions expressed on Now Playing are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the opinion of Venganza Media Incorporated.
You darkened the heart of an innocent, and now you cower in the face of a less's revenge.
Venganza Media Incorporated is not affiliated with the motion pictures reviewed or otherwise referred to herein. All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review and no infringement is intended.
And that's your definition of justice, huh?
Many different forms of justice, Chris. So you got man's, God's, and even the devil's. Certain forms you just can't control. So I want you to go home now, to your nice warm bed, and let me deal with this town and what has happened over the last 30 years. Okay? End the story.
Now Playing Podcast is an exclusive trademark of Venganza Media Incorporated and may not be used without the expressed written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated. All rights reserved.
You're under arrest.
What?
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say
What the
will
hell
be used
for?
against you in a court of law.
Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2026, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
Now the dream of this life must end, and so too must the dreamers within it. For over 30 years, they've lied to their own souls. For 30 years, they've denied their own fate. But now is the end of days, and I am the Reaper.
There's something about Mary, and we don't know. So
that was my tagline for the thing, by the way. That's how I'm going to write that. Yes, that's how else do you sum that up. But yes, there's something about Mary, and it does involve semen in here, in a bed.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle when we go from something like Return to Silent Hill to The Fencer, and now for something completely different.
That's Monty Python.
Oh, okay. It was both. It's definitely Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Nuh-uh. Now here's something we hope you really like. That's Bullwinkle.
Oh.
Oh.
Subtle but important distinction.
Okay, well then I'll go this way.
Yes, it might still be appropriate.
Yeah.